How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another Marvel Snap video. Elsa Bloodstone comes to Marvel Snap tonight. I'm actually really excited for this card. She is a 2 cost, 2 power. If you play another card to fill a location, give it plus 3 power. She has a lot of fun synergies, a lot of fun deck archetypes that she slots into. I have 4 decks for you guys today that I'm going to go over, that I'm going to be trying on day 1. Hopefully they work out well. I think they're going to be the archetypes as a whole that she slots into very well. So I don't think these decks may not be like the final list. I can almost guarantee you they're not going to be the final list that she fits into, but they are very good starting points and very good archetypes to mess around with and make changes to. I really like these archetypes. I try to work and try to build decks in these archetypes, but I actually found that these 4 creators that I'm going to go over right now came up with slightly better ideas than what I did. And instead of bringing you guys my ideas that I don't think are quite as good, I'm going to bring you guys the ideas from these creators. Now, the first deck that I thought Elsa would slot good into, which is I think a little counterintuitive for most people, is Surfer. It just happens that this Surfer list is from, of course, Glazer at the Snap Judgments podcast. He gives me a lot of decks. He didn't give me this one. I was crafting a Silver Surfer deck that I think she would slot into very good. And in my process of looking at other decks, I ran into his username on Marvel Snap Zone, and this is the list that he had, and I actually just really liked it. I liked it for a couple of reasons. We're going to go over that in a second. But the reason why I thought Surfer would be a good slot for Elsa, not because she is a better 2-drop than Forge. I think Forge into Brood is still one of the strongest turn 2, turn 3 plays in the game. But if you don't have Forge, playing Elsa, again, into Brood, into Absorbing Man, with the Surfer list, you're able to fill up locations very easily. With this specific list, playing Storm into, say, Juggernaut, and winning a location, and then trying to stack another location, you're going to fill up these locations pretty easily. Again, especially with Brood and Absorbing Man. And so having Elsa as that 2-drop that just gets a little bit more value, that becomes maybe a 2-5 or a 2-8. 2-5 on pretty much every game, but a 2-8 in some cases. Some cases with Sarah, you may be able to fill up all 3 locations. I think that's going to be a little bit less likely, but it is an option. The other reason why I really like this version of the deck is because it runs the Nova Killmonger package. I think a lot of decks with Elsa are going to be running a lot of 1-drops. They're going to run into a lot of things like bounce decks, kitty decks, especially kitty decks. You're going to run into a lot of kitty on day 1 for decks that are trying to run Elsa. And Killmonger is just good utility against those. They're probably all going to run armor as well. But again, if your opponent is trying to flood their board and you can have an early Killmonger that slows them down from doing that, I think it's just going to be fantastic. So this is the list that I'm most excited for, that I'm going to be trying immediately. I think she's going to slot in less as a build around in this deck, but more as just help to make Surfer a little bit that much better. The next deck we're looking at is by Wolversnap. Again, I will put a link to his channel in the description. This is a Shuri Kitty list. It's very close to other Shuri Kitty lists because it has that normal Shuri Kitty package up top with Shuri, Taskmaster, Vision, running Hulkbuster. Obviously, you have Kitty, and then you have Angela to keep buffing Angela. Roughly the same core as a regular Shuri Kitty list, but you are also running Bast, you're running Wasp, you're running obviously Elsa. I'm not sure if Jeff is thrown into a lot of these decks, but you have Mysterio and you also have Silk. The idea of this deck here is to play Bast on turn 1 to hit your Kitty. On turn 2, you can drop your Angela, get that prep to start buffing. Turn 3, you can play Elsa and start buffing a Kitty into that location. You also have Wasp to try to get 3 cards into a location and start flooding and start buffing that Kitty. Turn 4, if you have Shuri, you can Shuri, and then 5 into Vision. If you don't have that combo, you can continue to buff Kitty Pride. You're going to be able to double it up with Shuri when you get her. And then you have Taskmaster to either copy, again, that Vision or copy the Kitty, whatever you need to do. And I just like the flexibility of this deck. I think it's a fantastic idea. It still works off of that core, Angela, keep buffing her with Kitty. It has that core Shuri idea. So as a whole, this deck is going to work very well. But it's a question of, is this package with Elsa and trying to do that kind of thing better than the original Shuri Kitty package? We're going to find out, but I think it's a great idea, and it's a great starting point where you can swap out some of these cards if they're not working for you. You can swap out Mysterio. You can even play like a Hit Monkey in there if you want to try to dump some cards on the last turn. You might be going in too many different directions with that, but it is an idea, and I think it's a great like start to this archetype that I think you should give a shot. Next up, we have Safety Blade. He makes some really fun decks and really fun deck ideas. I love his stuff. You should check him out on Marvel Snap Zone. You can see all of his decks that he comes out with. But this is a zoo deck. I haven't played a zoo deck in a very long time. I think Elsa opens up that opportunity. Of course, the idea of this deck is to flood as many lanes as possible and get the most value out of cards like Mojo, out of Dazzler, of course, out of Elsa, and then Blue Marvel. You're going to get, the more cards you have out, the more cards you can buff. So if you haven't played zoo decks before, trying to drop as many 1-drops as possible. Squirrel Girl on turn 1, Nightcrawler, whatever it is on turn 1. Play Elsa on turn 2, Armor to protect some stuff. You're just trying to dump as many cards on board. If you have a lot of 1-drops out, you can play Kazar on 4. You kind of have different lanes to go with this deck, different routes to go. I don't know how good this deck is going to be at flooding the lanes. It needs to hit a certain level of efficiency in flooding lanes for it to be good. If it's slightly below that level, it will not be good. You're going to be picking 2 lanes and just trying to go in those specific 2 lanes. It's easily counterable. So it's a fun deck to toy with, and it's a fun idea where you can play cards like Dazzler that you don't normally play that often. It is also worth noting that with Nightcrawler and Jeff, if you can get 3 cards in a location with Elsa Bloodstone out, you can play Nightcrawler, get it the +3 buff and move it out the way. Play Jeff, get it the +3 buff, move it out the way. So you get a little bit extra out of your Elsa. If you play Squirrel Girl, I think she only gets 1 buff, even if her squirrels buff the rest of them. However, if you play Mysterio and he fills all 3 locations on the last turn, each of his illusions are considered played, and so each of them should get the +3 buff. So that's worth noting. You're going to see Mysterio thrown in a lot of these Elsa decks. I don't know if he fits into all of them, but give this one a shot. I haven't played a zoo deck in a long time, so I'm actually excited to try it out. This is probably the one that I don't have like the highest expectations for, but I don't just want to bring you guys like what I think the best decks are going to be. I want to bring you guys some interesting stuff too. So give this a shot. Let me know if you make any changes in the comments, and let me know how it goes for you. So last up, of course, is a bounce deck. It's by Drew Barry. Again, link in the description to his YouTube channel. It has a very similar early package to the Shuri Kitty list, where you have Bast, hopefully to get Kitty Pride. You do have Hawkeye and Nightcrawler, Angela to keep buffing with a Kitty Pride. You're just trying to get as many of these low drops out so you can start buffing your Kitty and your Angela. If you can get Angela out, get 2 other cards in there, have Elsa out, and you can buff your Kitty by +3 while buffing Angela every turn. It's pretty insane. I think this bounce list is a little bit less focused on getting max value out of Elsa and more focused on just being a good bounce list, where you're trying to get some cards out, you want to bounce them up with Beast, you want to get Sarah out so that on turn 6 you can dump as many cards as possible and get a really big hit monkey, buff up your Bishop, buff up that Angela, and then on top of that, if you have Elsa out and you're filling lanes, then you can get that extra buff. Mobius is in here just to counter some of the stuff that some of the counter decks you might see. Some people might be playing things like Ramp or Doomwave, where they're trying to shut down a lot of these decks that are trying to take advantage of Elsa on turn 6. And so Mobius is just in here to protect against that a little bit. If you're seeing a lot of those decks, it still may not be the best deck to run because Sarah won't have much effect. But if you do run into a few one-offs of those, at least you have Mobius to try to counter some of that. But those are the 4 decks that I'm going to be trying. Let me know if you guys like these videos. Let me know if you like the decks that I'm bringing you. I'm going to try to do this every week, these day 1 decks. You guys seemed to like it last week, like I said. So here's this one. And there should be another video coming out tonight for the bundle breakdown for the new bundle coming. I do bundle breakdowns for every major bundle coming to Marvel Snap. I do deck videos. I'm trying to pick up more on the deck videos. So if you're not subscribed to me, consider subscribing. As usual, if you love all things Marvel Snap, make sure you like and subscribe, hit the bell. I'll see you in the next one.